Welcome back, everybody. Here's another podcast called Real Brain Talk. That's Dr. Guy Anunziata. I'm Dr. Ken Eagle. Today's topic is unwrapping holiday stress, finding peace amid the festivities. It's a crazy time of year, right, Guy?
Absolutely, man. People are going nuts. I was just at Best Buy. I had to pick up something for my computer, and it's already started. The parking lots are packed.
I swear that they're going to start doing Black Friday like before Thanksgiving, like way before.
I get the feeling Black Friday is going to kind of disappear because
Yeah.
mainly because of online stuff. But
Yeah, I like to enjoy the day after Thanksgiving myself.
yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
feel like running around and shopping,
Yeah,
and I think, but just it's funny because it's the time of year everybody's supposed to be joyful and happy, and you can't drive through a parking lot without people just anxious and crazy and in a rush, and it's the worst time to be in a rush because there's so many more people. It's so stressful.
yeah, and I mean, it's not just, you know, it's stressful in the fact that that people feel this deadline that they have to get things to give to one another on
Mm.
Christmas Day or on Hanukkah or on Kwanzaa. And the thing is that it also is stressful in terms of financial. Financial stress is the number one stress for most people. When we have a holiday season, that financial stress becomes even more of a burden, and it creates anxiety, and anxiety creates sleeplessness, and sleeplessness leads to all kinds of health problems.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do during this holiday time to alleviate the holiday stress, obviously we should be practicing that, just to for our own sanity and for our own health, our overall health. We talked last time about how the mind and the body are connected, and when the mind is frazzled, the body's going to suffer, and that's what happens. That's why a lot of people get sick this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, yes, the mental health crisis around this time it peaks every
Yeah.
year, and it's a shame, really. I mean, I shouldn't speak really because right, have I been? I think maybe the last 5 or 6 years, I we go to the Caribbean over Christmas.
You do the right thing, man. You know exactly what you're doing.
I'd rather sit on a beach and just relax and not deal with the craziness. But just a limitation on time, right? I mean, because there's always you got to be here and you got to be there and you got to go see these
Yeah.
people and you got to get something, you got to bring it, and what's the right thing to bring? It's maddening.
And the obligation to be with your family, for some people, that's a really strong, powerful thing for them, and it causes a ton of stress. I know my whole life growing up was all about family, family, family during Christmas, and it was always very, very stressful because as I got older, I wanted to do things like what you do. I wanted to go to Jamaica. I wanted to, spend the holidays. But because I couldn't, because I had this strong obligation, like I should be with my family, never did the thing that that you do every year, which I'm very jealous of. But that obligation causes a lot of stress. So not only do we have financial stress, but we also have the stress of being around family. And I'm not going to get into politics, but we know that family members have differing views of politics, and now they come together in this setting, and all of a sudden
It's
they're
right,
barking at
right,
one another, and they
yeah,
forget that they're family. They put
right.
politics
Which
before family.
which is way more important. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you
I
and I are on different sides of the coin, but we're best friends, right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I don't
Never an
really
issue.
understand why people have that issue, but that's another stressor during the holidays.
Well,
Is the
I mean, you've seen in the news probably there are people that are actually rejecting their family on the holidays this year
Yeah,
because of politics, which is just shameful.
unbelievable,
I
unbelievable.
actually have a good story that fits this. It's one of my brain core success stories, and it's really interesting. So when I first started my chiropractic practice, I had been playing volleyball on this team, and one of the ladies on the team came to my new office. It was 1999, and I opened up the office, and she came to get adjusted. And then she said, "You know what? I want to send my parents to come get adjusted." And her mom and dad started coming. Well, this is another funny story. I'll tell it real quick. The mom and dad came. The dad was like this. I mean, he had his right shoulder, and he walked in like this. I go, "Do you want to get adjusted?" No. The mom did. Okay. For a year, every week, the couple came in. Mom got adjusted. Dad, no. And then finally, after a year, he goes, all right, now I'm ready. He just wanted to make sure that, she made it, through a year. Anyway, so when I incorporated brain core into the practice in, I think it was 2009. So this mom was a very anxious woman. I mean, when I first met her, she announces she's got anxiety all the time. She's very anxious. That's why she was all these aches and pains and this tightness, and she was just uncomfortable being in her own skin. I didn't have anything to deal with that except the chiropractic adjustment, which was helpful, but so she was one of my first people to join Brain Core and start doing neurofeedback. And I did, I think it was a 40 sessions we did with her. Couldn't really tell from all the assessments, how the life was changing. Like, I wasn't really sure. She seemed a little bit more calm. She finished up, kept coming to get adjusted. And then the daughter called me, who I hadn't seen in a long time. And she said, "What is that thing that you're doing with my mom?" And I was like, "It's brain core." She's like, "I'd like to do it." And I'm like, "Okay, did you want to learn?" She's like, "No, whatever you're doing, I want to do it too." And I said, "Well, what's going on? What happened?" And apparently it was the holidays. There was a couple of kids. So she had a sister and a brother, I think. And the sister couldn't make it to the holidays. This is what we are just talking about, the family, right? The sister couldn't make it. And they had to sit the mom down to say, look, to break it to her that her daughter wasn't going to make it to the holidays. And they were expecting fireworks
Yeah,
explosion.
right. From past experience,
Yes,
they
they were all set for it. They were braced for it.
yes.
They were ready for it. And the mom just went, "Okay." And it was like they almost fell off their chairs and they were like,
Yeah.
what do you mean, okay? Who's my mom? This is not my mom." And and that's what she's like, I gotta do whatever you're doing, because she was anxious too. She's like, "I gotta do that."
And the funny thing about that story, Ken, is that, and we see this all the time in neurofeedback, that the people around the person getting the neurofeedback seem to notice what's
Right.
going on before the person that's actually getting the neurofeedback. How many times have you heard, a spouse come in and say, "What'd you do to my husband?" But then when you talk to the husband's like, "Yeah, I feel a little better." Yet the spouse is like, it's night and day.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
that's what this
amazing.
patient was. I'm like, "You feeling better?" She's like, "Yeah, I feel a little better."
Yeah.
But the whole family dynamic
It's like,
changed, and
she's
she didn't know
better.
it. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. So, so what are some things that people can do to alleviate some of the stress during this time? We tend to overschedule ourselves during this time of year. It's not just the holidays, but the end of year, you want to kind of get everything put together. Especially if you're like a small business owner, you got all the headaches of getting your books together and all that. So, creating a nice schedule can alleviate a lot of the anxiety. My daughter actually is in college, and I don't know if I told you this story or not, but um, she was under a lot of stress, and she called me and she's like, "I don't know what to do. I've got all these different things to do." And so we sat down and we made a list. And I told her, I said, "What you do is you're going to focus on one thing at a time, and you're not going to look at the whole list. I don't want you to look at item number 8. Look at item number 1, get it done. Look at
Right.
item number 2,
One
get it
step at
done."
a time, small bites.
And during the holidays, that's a really important thing to do, is to set a good schedule. Don't overdo it, and just look at the schedule, piece by piece, instead of looking at the whole thing. That's one way of, helping to alleviate some of the
Yeah.
stress during the
And I
holidays.
think another good strategy, if you're somebody who exercises, even if you're somebody who doesn't exercise, but if you do, a lot of times people get away from it during the holidays. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to get it in the new year. I'm going to wait till January and I'm going to start exercising again." Don't put that off. Even if it's go out for a walk, get moving, just clear your head, get your body moving, get everything going. That will just eliminate so much more of the burden that you're carrying around. And just
Yeah.
just just gotta you gotta keep moving.
I got
And
to
you
tell
also
you,
have to set. Oh, go
I
ahead.
agree with exactly what you're saying. I've been walking a lot more now. I'm actually going to start rucking. You know what rucking is?
I know what rucking in rugby is. I don't know what it is in.
Rucking in the other world is, they basically, you put weights on your body and you walk, and it's walking with weights on your body, and you burn
Okay.
tons more calories, and the workout
Yeah.
is a lot. It's a stronger workout, and you don't have to do it for as long, because part of the things about walking for me is I don't like to walk for an hour and a half, and
Right.
that's
It
kind of
takes
what
a
you
long
need
time.
to burn the calories. But now when you put 20 or 30 pounds on your shoulders, you don't have to walk nearly as long. So anyway, but what I was getting at was, I've just started walking a lot more, and what I'm finding is that my whole demeanor is just much more relaxed. So
Right.
you're right. Exercise can be a very, very powerful tool during the holiday season to help you cope with some of the stress.
Yeah.
You may want to also think about cutting down your alcohol consumption.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big it's alcohol and sugar, right? I mean,
God, yeah,
I don't drink much, but I can eat a lot of
yeah.
candy and desserts, and it's the time of year where it's just thrown at you constantly,
It's like from Halloween until Christmas. It's just sugar, 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 sugar.
which
Yeah,
is right before I go to the beach on a holiday, so it's really bad.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you got to be careful there. But
Yeah,
with
yeah.
alcohol consumption, the thing about that is, we all tend to drink during the holiday seasons. You're going to a holiday party, you're going to have a drink, maybe you overdo it a little bit and then you got the hangover in the morning. But even worse than that is the fact that alcohol interrupts sleep. And people don't realize that. People drink alcohol thinking, "Oh, I'll sleep better if I have a glass of wine before bed." Or, "I'm drunk, so I'm going to get a better night's sleep." That's not the way it works. Alcohol interrupts the sleep cycle, and even though you might think you're getting good night's sleep, you're not at all. I know for myself, if I have one or two drinks and then just in the evening time and I go to bed, I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't get back to bed. So alcohol is definitely something that you want to try and limit as much as you can. I know that's a hard thing to do during the holidays, but that can alleviate a lot of stress because the better you sleep, the less stressful you'll be. So
Yeah.
I think alcohol is another one.
And I think another one, which is maybe a little bit more esoteric, I think it's a little more internalized. It would be really helpful in general, but it would be really helpful at this time of year if people just let go of their judgment. When you're constantly judging everything, and it's like, you're giving gifts, you're getting gifts, you're reading into everything. If you just let go of that and just be in the moment, and I know it's hard, it's something that people talk about all the time, but it's easier to say than it is to do. But just let go of all your judgment and your expectations, and just enjoy being wherever you are. Be with your family, but be there. Be and do what you're doing. Don't project till next week. Don't worry about what we got to do. What's the next party? Where do I have to be? Wherever you are, you need to be somewhere else. Just try to take deep breaths, relax, and enjoy this time. You never get this time back. It's
Exactly.
your
Yeah.
time.
And some people like to say, I want to do my family, but I want to do it on my own terms. And that's smart. Setting some boundaries for yourself is going to alleviate a lot of stress for you. Also, respecting differences, respect the differences of your family members. We talked a minute ago about, the political discussions that can take place during the holidays. And you know what? You might disagree with someone, but just respect their viewpoint. And you'll see that'll go a long way. And then, of course, doing neurofeedback. More than any time of the year, neurofeedback is something that really can be very helpful during this time of the year. Getting your head straight, making sure that your brain is operating at its optimum. Those are all things that could be very helpful during this time of year.
Yeah, and take care of yourself. So just get your massages, get your chiropractic adjustments, do your body work. It pays off. It pays dividends for you in the
Yeah,
future if you just pay attention. Like I think we talked about it maybe a couple episodes ago, just about checking in on yourself internally.
right.
Just seeing, what am I feeling? Where is the stress in my body? What's going on? Let me let go of wherever that is, and it
Hmm.
brings us closer to the moment, and just makes life more enjoyable. But the judgment thing, which is really really hard to do. I have another quick story about judgment that I learned a long time ago. I had a buddy that was running a New York City marathon. It was my job and his wife's job. We were following around and trying to see him in as many places as we could. So we're jumping on subways and going to this
Hmm.
street and going to that street just to cheer him on, as he ran by. And I was a runner back then, never did a full marathon, but I was a runner back then. And I realized that towards the end of this day, I was more exhausted from following him around and
Yep.
just trying to, it's New York City. It's crazy. There's
Yeah.
people everywhere. And towards the end, it was the last stop. We were going to Central Park to meet him at the end. And I was in the subway. And I was just, I mean, I was wiped. And then I guess with all the noise or what was going on, I realized I'm sitting in a subway with all these people. And I realized I was telling myself a story about everybody I saw. I had a like everybody. I was like, that's that, and I don't know these people, but I had all this internal story that I was projecting on every one of these people, and then suddenly I said, let me just stop. And in that moment, I stopped, and like all my energy came back, and I was like, I was just
Yeah.
draining myself with my judgment. And it was so liberating to turn that off even for a few minutes. Not easy to do,
Yeah.
but it was like
No,
it
you're
hit me, and
right.
I was like, oh
Yeah, that's hard to do for sure. Just I think we're kind of leading down the road of just practicing mindfulness, can be extremely beneficial during this time of year. Even if you take 2 minutes out of the day to just sit in a quiet place and just focus on your breathing, just listening to your breath going in and out and in and out, you'd be surprised how you feel after 2 minutes. Most of us don't do that enough, and it's unfortunate because that could really be very helpful
yeah.
during this time of year.
Well, that's what I love about alpha theta and deep states neurofeedback. It takes all that junk that you just have rolling around and just kind of
Yeah.
gets rid of it and gets you more in the moment and gets you more focused on what you're doing now instead of all this program running in the background doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, so alpha theta is kind of like a meditation,
Yeah,
but
like a deep
it's kind of
meditation, but guided, so it's so much
it's
easier to
guided,
get
right?
there. Yeah,
Because so many people try meditation, like I just can't do it. I just can't
I
not
know.
think of anything, and
Right.
but when you do it with the help of neurofeedback and alpha theta protocol specifically, you find it's much easier to get into that mindful state and to stay there and really feel what's going on in your body. It's really remarkable. I think I'm on like 1,200 sessions of alpha theta at
Yeah,
this point. So,
yeah, yeah. It's a
but
great practice. It's something I think
it
that
really
just
is.
everybody should do just on a
Yeah,
regular basis, and
yeah.
especially during the holidays.
Yeah. And especially
All
if you're
right.
having trouble sleeping, right? If you're having trouble sleeping,
Yeah,
which most of us do during this time of the year, neurofeedback can really help with respect to getting you to get a good restful night's sleep.
yeah.
So,
100%.
yeah. So, what do we got? We got exercise, we've got practice mindfulness, respect differences, don't
Stop
judge
judging.
people, get your neurofeedback sessions in. Don't compare yourself to others. Try to limit your alcohol consumption, limit your sugar consumption. These are all really helpful tips that can help you get through the holiday season
And
and
enjoy and
enjoy the
cherish your
holidays.
and
Yeah,
enjoy and cherish your family because
yeah,
they're your
exactly.
family.
Right, exactly. So,
All right. All
all
right.
right.
Well, that's our time today. So I guess happy holidays to everybody
Yeah. Happy holidays.
and to you. And I'll see you
You
soon.
too, buddy.
All right.
Talk to you
Bye,
later.
everybody.